guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I filmed another Valentine's Day tutorial. I will be talking throughout the whole video, my eye makeup, my face makeup, and everything, explaining what I'm doing, what I'm using. But yeah, this is a very dark and bold Valentine's Day look. I really like the way this came out. So grab some snacks and chill and watch it. So if you want to see how I did this dark and vampy Valentine's Day look, then go ahead and just keep on watching. So starting off, I'm going to be using the Anastasia Beverly Hills Modern Renaissance palette, and I'm going to be taking the shade Raw Sienna, which is this one right here, and I'm going to be using this on a Morphe B13 brush. It's just a really big fluffy brush, and I'm just going to apply this into the crease. And I like using big fluffy brushes for this because it obviously, the transition shade is what helps you blend everything out all together in the end. So really having this shade blown out everywhere really helps blend everything out. And then for the next shade, I'm gonna take Burnt Orange, which is just the one right next to it, on a B81 brush, and this is still gonna act as like the second transition just because I'm not really focusing on much color right now, but it is a little bit more orange as opposed to Raw Sienna, so I'm just going to apply this directly into the crease and a little bit above the crease as well. So if I feel like I didn't blend it out well enough up at the top, I just get a random little eyeshadow brush. This is a flat eyeshadow brush, but I flip it on its side and I just go like this just to help blend it out above more. So I'm going to be taking the shade Love Letter from right here. And I'm just going to start putting this in the inner corner, the outer corner, and in the crease. It's also, I find it easier for me if I apply the product first like this, so it does look kind of choppy, just so the color's there and you get the shape of how you want the eyeshadow to be, and then I'll start blending in. By the way, this is a Smashbox dual-ended brush. It came with a set that I got a few years ago, and I'm just using the blending brush side. Now I'm going to take the Coastalscents BR250 brush. I think this is their Pro Fluff blending brush or something like that. And for now I'm just going to go in with Venetian Red. There's that one right there. And I'm going to be doing the same thing that I just did with Love Letter. I like this brush because it really gets in the crease. But just to help kind of blend everything out, I'm going to be taking a Sigma Dual Fiber Blend Brush. This is an E41 brush. So I'm going to take Realgar, that orange shade right here in the corner, and I'm going to apply this right above where I just put that red, just because I want a little bit more orange popping through. And again, I'm going to go back in with that little eyeshadow brush and just blend everything out. I'm going to go back in with the Smashbox brush, and I'm going to take the shade Red Ochre, and I'm just going to apply this to the inner and outer corner. I'm going to put it in the crease. And then I'm just going to go back in with that Morphe B81 brush, and I'm just going to use this to just kind of blend everything out. And when it comes to doing your eyeshadow, you also want to make sure that you're constantly blending everything out so that that way there's no harsh lines, and make all the different colors just seamlessly blend into each other. But now I'm just going to start doing my middle shade. And for this, I'm just going to start off by getting some concealer, and I'm using the Coastalscents concealer. But I do have this gold pigment that I really like. It's in the shade Melting Maple from mPrincess. So I'm not going to use any type of pigment glue. I'm just going to wet my brush and it'll apply it just fine like that. And I am going to do multiple layers just to really get a nice pigment. Another layer. And you see how much brighter that is? Or pigmented. It looks almost as if I have foil on my lids. It looks really cool. But I'm going to go back in with the Sigma Duo Fiber brush. And I'm just going to really just kind of blend out the edges between that pigment and the eyeshadow so that way it's not just a harsh line of the pigment. And then now to highlight the brow bone, I'm going to take the Morphexkathleenlights palette. I'm taking the very first shade. I love this for my brow bone highlight because it's very pigmented. And I'm going to be using the Sigma Lash Fan, the E04 brush. And then I'm just going to place that right underneath my brow. Just like that. And then once again, the eyeshadow brush, and I'm just going like this to just make sure there's no harsh lines of the brow bone highlight and the eyeshadow that I've been using. And this is also the reason why I like doing my eye makeup first, because it just kind of gets everywhere, especially if I'm going to use like a pigment or eyeshadow that kind of gets has a lot of fallout. So I'm just going to take a wet makeup wipe. The NYC liquid liner. Okay, so when it comes down to my foundation, I always start off with the NYX First Base spray. So it's just kind of like a setting spray, the same concept of just spray it all over your face. And then you're obviously just going to let it dry. And then along with this, I also use the NYX Renew face primer. So I'm just going to apply this on my face. And then the next step for foundation, I like to mix two foundations along with the foundation mixer. So again, a NYX Stay Matte But Not Flat foundation with the L'Oreal Infallible Matte foundation. So I mix these two because I like the way they both work together. But this one from NYX is too dark for me. I ordered it online and I was kind of just guessing. So I also bought the Pro Foundation Mixer. So you just put this in your foundation and you mix it, and it helps lighten up your foundation if it is too dark, which it is in my case. So all I do is just take a little dab of the NYX one, just because since it's so dark, it's kind of like there's no point in having so much. And I do more of the Infallible one, and then just a small amount of the Pro Foundation Mixer, and then I just start putting it on my face. This sponge, it's from a company called Miss Glam. I got it from Gen Beauty, and I actually really like this. I can't compare it to the Beauty Blender because I've never used a Beauty Blender, but compared to the Real Techniques one, I like this one more. Since the sponge is so big, I like to use this little baby one from, I got it from Walmart. I got it in a pack of 2 for $2, and it works really good. And I just use it on my forehead so that way I don't mess up anything when I use the big sponge. And my absolute favorite concealer is the NYX Gotcha Covered Concealer. I like this because it is waterproof, so I feel like it stays a lot longer than other concealers. Also because I'm oily, so I just feel like it works better for me. And then I'm just going to use this little brush to apply it underneath my eye in a triangle motion. And a little goes a long way. You don't need a lot at all, just because I don't know how to explain it, but even though it looks like you have a lot, once you start like dabbing it on your fingers and like placing it on your face, you have like a lot on your face and you're just kind of like, oh crap, what am I going to do with all this concealer now? And then just here, could have used a bigger brush, but this is the one that was just in front of me. Down the bridge of my nose, a little bit on my chin, and then I'll also use this time to clean up my liner. And then I'm going to use that little sponge again just to blend that in. I really like this sponge a lot because it really gets into the corners. That sponge I use does have a point at the end, but I still feel like it's very wide instead of really thin, you know? I really can't get over how much I love this concealer. A lot of the other ones it's just, I think it's the fact that it's waterproof and it's a thick consistency as opposed to kind of like a watered one. I feel like that really helps kind of settle on my face. It settles nicely on me. And then obviously I'm going to bake in a minute, and baking does help it even more, in my opinion. And then to bake, I'm going to be using the Airspun translucent powder. And then you always want to make sure that before you bake, you do one final little, it's just right here, one final little blend right here, because obviously I've been blinking, so the little lines underneath my eye are have kind of creased since then, even in the matter of like a minute. And then I use the pointy side. And I do have a difficult time with around my nose, so I found that when I bake right there, it really helps. And I get little lines right here from smiling, so I bake there. And then I'm going to also go ahead and finish setting the rest of my face, and I'm going to be using the NYX Stay Matte But Not Flat powder foundation. And I'm just going to be using this little powder brush. I don't know where it's from, but... And I'm just going to dab my face. And now I'm going to move on to contouring. I don't really like to cream contour. I feel like it takes me a lot longer. I don't know, I just kind of have a difficult time blending the cream contour, so I always just do powder. I like using this brush to do my powder foundation, also because it kind of has like a squished effect. I don't know what to call it. I can't think of the name. So that way it really just works in on the contour. I use a couple different things. The Bare Minerals, the High Dive Bronzer, so it's this one. You probably see me use it 100 times. The Ciate London Star Island Bronzer. Or from this Cheeky palette from Benefit, the Hoola bronzer down here. So I think I'm going to be using the Hoola bronzer and the Ciate one. I'm going to be mixing them. I'm going to start off with the Ciate one just because it's a little bit lighter. And I'm just going to use this to bronze my face. Just with this big brush from Tarte. Nothing too specific. So just to kind of like outline where I'm going to do everything. And then to get the more contoured look, I'm taking this little brush that I just talked about and the Benefit. My hairs, they won't get out of the way. Even with the headband, the little baby hairs like do their own thing. So I have that right now. What I'm going to do now is just bake, only because I like waiting a while for it to bake. So I'll finish everything else while this is still kind of settling. So I just used the little sponge that I showed you and the Airspun translucent powder. And then I still want my powder under my eyes to bake, but I'm obviously going to be doing blush and highlight. So what I'll do is just wipe away the bake right here while still leaving all of this. And then what I like to do is my highlight first after my bronzer, and then I'll do blush afterwards in the middle just to help blend everything out. So I'm going to be using the NYX Born to Glow Liquid Illuminator in the shade Sunbeam. And I'm just doing just a little bit on the back of my hand because that's really all you need. And then I'm still using that same sponge, just the rounder part. And I'm just placing this right where my highlight's going to go. So this is just going to be kind of like my base for my highlight. And then my all-time favorite highlight, as you guys know, no surprise, is the the City Colors Highlight Trio. And what I like to do is just wet my brush. And then I kind of just mix all of them really, just because they're all so pretty and I can't decide. So I just mix them all. And then I'll just go over what I just did. And then I'll also just do my nose. And my cupid's bow. I'm going to move on to my blush. And for blush, I also use just a few different things. I will use the MAC Merrily blush, the blush from the Cheeky palette, or this blush palette that I have from Coastalscents. It just has a whole bunch of different blushes in it. But for this, I think I'm going to use the Coastalscents palette. I'm going to take this one right here up at the top. And they can be pretty pigmented, so just have a light hand if you have this. And then just around the apples of my cheek, I'm going to apply right here and just drag it back just to help blend in the contour and the highlight together. Now I'm going to really quickly just do my lips. So I'm using the Ciate London Scrub Sticks. And it has like little tiny beads in it. So that way it kind of cleans off all the dead skin. And then I'm going to take the NYX lip liner in the shade Auburn. And I'm going to be lining my lips. Okay, so I'm just going to be using Transylvania on my lips. And then I'm going to go in with Copenhagen and just go right over that. So what I do, so that way I don't get any lipstick on my teeth, which I probably do right now, I just get my finger and you put it in your mouth and then you just pop it out and everything that's around your finger is what would have gone on your teeth. So I don't know why that annoys me, but you see how it's all on my finger? That would have been on my teeth, which it probably still will end up because I'm a child and I get stuff everywhere all the time. So I'm going to be using the NYX Wonder Pencil. For my lower lash line, I'm just going to take this Coastalscents brush. This is called an eyebrow brush, but I don't know who would use this for their eyebrows. So I'm going to take the shade Venetian Red. And I'm just going to just drag it underneath the lash line. This little e.l.f. brush with burnt orange, and I'm just going to blend that out. From the Kathleen Lights and Morphe palette, and I'm just going to pop it in the inner corner. Just going to wipe off all the powder. So for this, I'm using the Wet n Wild Photo Focus Setting Spray. So just going to let that dry, and while it's drying, I always like to add just a little bit more highlight. So again, using the City Colors Highlight Trio. I'm just going right over it so while it's still kind of wet, but not too wet because I don't want to move any product around. Okay, so this is the finished look. I really like the way it came out. I think it's very dark and vampy and, you know, romantic. Let me know what you guys are going to do for Valentine's Day. I'd love to know. Yeah, I hope you liked this video. Don't forget to subscribe if you like my videos and give it a thumbs up. And you can follow me on social media. All my stuff is listed down below. Just take a look at the description box. I'll have everything there. But yeah, other than that, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will talk to you on my next one. Bye!